Good morning, grade fours. I hope you're well. I hope you're good. I hope you're safe. I hope you're indoors. Now, this morning, we're going to do lesson 10. Now, it's the 22nd of March. You take out your social studies student book. Social studies student book. We'll start from page 128 till page 133. So we start with your student book, page 128 till page 133. I will speak very slowly, so you must listen carefully. Okay? So I will first do the student book, then I will do the activity. Okay? So it's social studies, student book, page 128 till page 133. In your activity book, it's from page 74 till page 76. Okay? But that we will do later in the lesson. So we will start from page 128. Week 10, it's a new lesson, and it's the 22nd of March. So let's start. Now, grateful in this lesson, we just gonna they're just telling you what happened then and what is now happening. This lesson is divided into three sections. Is divided into transport, railway system, and communication. How did it change from then to now, from the past to the present? Okay, so the three sections are transport, railway system, and communication. How did it change? Let's start from page 128. You can see on your screen, page 128. Okay, let's go quickly through it. Um, you can see the first picture there. How the transport changed from ancient times to now. Okay, you can see the picture of a camel, picture of a horse. You can see a picture of a person riding on a horse. You can see a picture of a ship there on the seas. You can see a picture of the boat, okay, and a horse with a chariot there, okay. So that's a forms of transport. Now, how did it change really from then to now? Now look at the bullets there. Um, the stables and interlong. The stables are development. There was developing the stables, port cities, supply, boats, canals and waterways for rowboats and small harbors for sea. So you can just see what the bullets are saying there is that what happened, okay, what the function was of each transport mode. Okay. The port cities were supplying the boats, the canals and waterways was for riverboats, and the small harbors was for sea craft. Okay. So in the ancient times, you can see there in the ancient times what happened in the past. People used horses, camels, animal-drawn carts, boats, and ships. Okay, that was in the ancient times. Okay, in the past. Now, in the second picture, you can see what's happening now. There are ports now, well-developed ports of cities. There are canals now and waterways. There are small harbors. There are inns and transport routes. Okay, for all the different transport modes. So that's how transport it changed from then, from the past to the present. Okay, it's on page 128. It's clear in picture. It's clear in picture. Very clear there on page 128. You can see the pictures there and what the bullets. If you follow the bullets, it tells you how did it change from ancient times to now. Okay. Now, if you go to page 129, let's go to page 129 quickly. Page 129, you can see how the railway system actually changed. Okay, there's a picture of a steam train and there's a picture of a steamboat in the 1800s. Okay, steam trains and ships. You can see the picture there. Now, presently, there's now increased coal mining to fuel steam power trains. It means there are more coal for steam trains. There's more trading between distant countries now in the present tense. Railway towns that would supply trains and passengers. So in the past, you can see in the 800s, there were the steam train, there were steamboats. Now everything is modernized. You can modernize trains, you can modernize ships. Okay? You don't have to use coal anymore. And the three bullets telling you there's more coal, there's more trading between countries because it's more modernized, and the the certain cities and countries are now more connected because of the modernized railway systems. Okay, you can see clearly on page 129 the difference between uh, then and now. Well, let's go to the 1900s. The 1900s, you can see about the uh, planes and other forms of transport in the past and now presently. Okay, let's see what happened now presently. Presently they're drilling for oil and other fuels. I'm reading from the bullets now. There are more big factories. They're building of roads. You can see now in Riyadh, a lot of building take place, building of roads, parking areas, airports, transport of goods from factories to markets, and leisure travel. What does it mean actually? Things got modernized? Okay, they drill more for oil. There's more roads, better roads. Better parking areas. There are bigger factories. We can transport goods from factories to markets. Okay, much more better because the transport is no better. And leisure travel means you can travel with modernized boats, with planes, if you want to go to any other country to for leisure. Okay, so that's page 128. In page 129, the development from the past to the present, the transport. How how did it change from now to then? Okay, let's go to page 130. Page 130, they just show how how the railroads changed in Saudi Arabia. There's just a timeline there. 1908, the first railway opened in Jordan to Medina. In 1915, it shuts down again, railway. And 1951, the first modern railway opens for transportation for oil and goods from Amco, from the Arabian Gulf ports to the warehouse in Dhahran. So you can see this how the railway did change in Saudi Arabia. Okay, there was no railway system in 1915. It shut down, but in 1951 there there was now the first modern railway system for transportation for oil for the company Armco company to the ports to the different ports in warehouse in Dhahran. You can see the map there how the railway system it changed. Look at the key there. The key at the key on the map, you can see there's a current railway. It's yellowish, and there's a planned or under construction railway system, and the other railway system is no longer in use. You can check the key on the map, the yellow part, the yellow. So current railway system that's currently in place. The different colors you can see there that is under construction means they still now busy building the railway system. And the other key is that railway system is no longer in use. So you can just go through it and just check what railway system is not longer in use, what is under construction, and the current railway system in Saudi Arabia. They showed clearly there with the different colors. Okay, you can go through it in your own time. And there's also a timeline of how the railway system developed from 1908 to now. Okay, let's go to page 131. Page 131, they talk about there's no more transport than ever before. Okay, there you also can see a diagram or a graph of people drive more cars than ever before in human history. There's just a layout. That graph is just a layout of how many people, a thousand people in the USA are driving from 1996. This graph was from 1996 to 2007. You can see it's blue and red. Remember, it's per thousand people. So you can see. Let's look at the first graph there. First bar graph. The first bar graph in USA. You can see it's 750 people per thousand were driving in USA. Now there are more than 800 people per thousand people are driving cars in USA. Here's this example how many people are driving in 1996 is the blue and the red is in 2007. Okay, remember it's a bar graph. Blue is in 1996 and the red is 2007. So the blue graph shows in 1996 about 780 people were driving cars in 1996 in USA. In 2007, about 830 to 850 people are driving cars now per thousand people. Okay, let's look at Africa. In Africa, very little, very few, very few people are driving. In 2007, it seems like about 10 to 15 people driving cars. Uh, in 1996, there's actually no difference. So you can see in Africa, very few people are driving cars. Of 2007, I think it's much better now. It's 2020. I think it's more. There are more people driving cars. Remember, this bar was drawn in. That was in 1996 and 2007. So I think there are more people driving cars now. I will just go to another bar, another bar. Let's look at uh, India. India, in 1996, very few people. There's about 10 to 15, I think, people were driving cars in 1996. In 2007, 15 people were driving cars out of 1,000. Remember, that's out of 1,000 people. Okay. Look at China. In China, very few people were driving cars also in China in 1996. It's also about 5 to 10 people. Oh, that's about 20 to 30 people in China in 2007. So you can see, remember this bar graph uh, was drawn in was in 1996 in 2007. So I think more people are driving cars now. Okay? This is just to understand how many people are driving cars per thousand people. Okay, it's beautifully illustrated to you on page 131, as you can see on the screen. Page 131, how many people are driving cars from then in the past to now, from 1986 to 2007. Okay. Um, let's go to um, vehicles. Let's look at the second on page 131, vehicles per thousand people in 1986 and 2007. It's actually the same graph. It's just explaining to you how many people were driving. Okay, so the graph there at the top, the bar graph at the top, the explanation is there at the bottom of the page. Okay? Africa in 1986, 23 people per thousand people were driving. In 2007, only 24 people were driving. Okay, let's look at the Middle East. In the Middle East in 1996, 67.8 people were driving cars. in 1996 out of 1,000, and in 2007, 132 people were driving cars in 2007 out of 1,000. So I think it's much more now because it's 13 years later. Okay. Um, let's look again to India. India, about 7 people were driving in 96 cars in 1996. In 2007, 12 people were driving cars in 2007. Okay. Uh, uh, China, in 96, 9 people were driving cars. In 96, in 2007, 30 people were driving cars. Uh, so this explanation at the bottom of the page just explain to you what's happening there at the top, or the bar graph at the top. Okay, it's explanation of how many people are driving cars from then to now. Okay, so the bar graph is at the top, how many people were driving, and the explanation of the bar graph is at the bottom of the page. Um, let's go to page 132, 132 and 133 is on your screen. Page 132 and 133. It just tells you the developments in communication. How did communication? How is communication? How was communication in the past, and how is communication now? Okay. Um, there you can see, and in the past, people would just converse with each other personally. The communication methods, they were speaking to each other, speaking to a group, telephonic communication. Okay, there's television, there's public address, when you address people in public, and the email and SMS. Okay, so that's a forms of communication. Okay, so there's 6 forms of communication. It's when you speak to one another. It's one person to another. That is one form of communication. Other form of communication is when you speak in a group. That's a second form of communication. The third form of communication is when you speak telephonically, when you speak to someone over the phone, over the mobile phone. The fourth mode of communication is television. You know what's television? Um, the fifth form of or mode of communication is when you address people in public. And the sixth form of communication or mode of communication is email and SMS. Okay, that's presently happening. So I will say it again, the 6 forms of communication: person to person, speaking in a group, telephonic communication, television, public address, email, and SMS. Okay, that's the 6 forms of communication. That's on page 132. You can't see it, but if you have your book in front of you, your student book, it's on page 132. Okay, 6 forms of communication: person to person, speaking in a group, telephonic communication, television, public address, and email and SMS. So that's the 6 forms of communication. Now, page 133, it's on your screen. There you can see how did people do in the ancient times. There was smoke signals. There's a picture of a smoke signal. People, there was a form of communication in the ancient time. They were blowing horns in the ancient time. There you can see a picture of a telegraph. You can see a picture of an early telephone, how a telephone looked like. They were using cell phones. There's an old radio, picture of an old radio. And nowadays you can see there's 2 pictures of what's happening now. Modern times, email is a modern time form of communication, and mobile phone. Okay, so that's ancient times and modern times. Okay, so page 183 shows you just what happened, how far we got with modes of communication. So the ancient form of communication were smoke signals, blowing of horns, Telegraphing, there's a picture of telegraphing, early telephones and radio. That was the six early forms of communication. Nowadays it's emails and mobile phone. Okay, that's the uh, modernized form of communication today. So this is lesson for how transport, how things change from then to now. Uh, Three things that I talk about was transport. The second was the railway system, and the third thing was the communication. How did it change from then to now? Okay. Um, so I will quickly recap. I won't show the pages again, but I will quickly recap. So listen carefully. So the development of transport, they changed from horses, camels, animal-drawn carts, boats, and ships. It changed now to waterways. They are port cities. There's small harbors for sea craft. Okay, that's from the early forms of transport to the new economic developments. Um, in the olden days, there were steam trains and ships. Now there's more modernized trains and modernized ships, and there's no more trading because of modernized ships. There's more trading because of modernized trains, railway towns. And people can now supply things. Um, they, they supply trains can supply, and you can ride on trains and modernized trains today. So in the 900s, there were also old forms of cars, planes, and other forms of transport. Nowadays, you get roads, modernized roads, airports, bigger factories, and people can travel from one country to another in, in minutes, okay, in hours, because of modernized planes, modernized ships. That's the development of transport. The railway system also did change in Saudi Arabia. Um, so the first railway was in 1908. In 1915, there was no railway system in Saudi Arabia. In 1951, the first modern railway opens in Saudi, and it can now transport oil from the Armco company to the warehouses in Bahrain. Okay. Then they tell also about how many people were driving cars from the past to now. Um, more people are driving cars now from the past now. Example is there on page 131. In Africa in 1906, only 23 people per thousand were driving cars. In 2007, 24 people were driving in 2007. In the Middle East, 67 people out of 1,000 people were driving cars. In 2007, 101 people were driving cars out of 1,000. I think now it's much more. In India, only 7 people in 1986 driving cars, and 2007, 12 people out of 1,000 were driving cars. Okay, so that on page 139 and 131, they just showing a bar graph and explanation of how many people driving cars from past to now. Okay, and page 132 and page 133, they talk about the communication, how the communication change. There's first talk about the six forms or mode of communication. It's person to person, speaking in a group, telephonic communication, television, public address, email, and SMS. So the six forms of communication again: person to person, speaking in a group, telephonic communication, television, public address, email, and SMS. It's the six forms of communication. Page 133, they talk about the ancient times of communication was they were smoke signals, blowing horns, telegraphing, the early telephone. They saw a picture of the early telephone and the radio, the old radio system. Nowadays, there's email and mobile phone. So that is the lesson about transport and communication. Okay, thank you guys. Now I'm gonna we're gonna do activity. Uh, the next lesson will be activity from page 76. So listen to the next lesson shortly. Thank you guys.